Today's episode is sponsored by Midwest Fire. For more than 20 years, Midwest Fire has been manufacturing high-quality tankers, tanker pumpers, and fire rescue vehicles in the United States and Canada. Keeping firefighters safe while enhancing their capabilities is what they do best. To learn more, go to MidwestFire.com.
Hi, this is Captain Joe Perneski from the Elyria, Ohio Fire Department, and you're listening to Dr. Richard C. Gassaway on SAMatters Radio. His mission is simple. He wants us to see the bad things coming in time to avoid bad outcomes. If you're a firefighter, an officer, a chief, this is one training podcast you want to listen to every week.
Hello, and welcome to episode 63 of the Situational Awareness Matters radio show. I'm your host, Rich Gassaway. The purpose of this show is to improve situational awareness and decision-making for individuals and teams who work in high-risk, high-consequence environments. The SAMatters mission is simple: to help you see the bad things coming in time to avoid bad outcomes. I'm coming to you today from beautiful Spokane, Washington, where I'm in town to deliver a flawed situational awareness program for the Spokane Fire Department, and then I'm heading over to Kalispell, Montana, where I'm going to deliver two programs, Mental Management of Emergencies and Flawed Situational Awareness, for an event hosted by the Flathead County EMS. Thanks to both organizations for hosting these important programs. In today's episode, I'm going to take on 5 questions presented during live events. If you've never been to one, the live events are very interactive, and there are lots of discussions and questions asked. Some of the questions are so good, they inspired me to write articles on the blog. Some are so good, they inspire me to do research. And all of them are worth sharing. So in today's episode, I'm going to address 5 program attendee questions. Let's jump into the Q&A session. This special episode shares 5 questions offered by attendees at live events. I'm going to give you the 5 questions, and then I'm going to go through them one at a time and answer them. Question 1. You've said many of the challenges we face as first responders are from when our brains get stressed. Are there any good things that come from the reaction to stress? Question 2. You talked a lot in the program about identifying and understanding critical clues and cues during size-up. I'm a newer firefighter. Is there anything that I can do to get better at this skill? Question 3. Do you have any advice for how a young officer can develop command competency, including command situational awareness? Question 4. During the presentation, you said training should be as realistic as possible. Our police department has done realistic hands-to-hand combat training. So realistic, in fact, some officers are getting hurt. So we stopped doing that. Now the instructors tell us to only put forth 10% effort, go through the motions of how to subdue someone, but don't actually do it because someone might get hurt. Based on what you just taught us, is this a setup for failure? And question 5. There are some safety training programs our employees take that are online, such as fire extinguisher usage. Is this type of training good? And should we do hands-on training as well? All great questions. And know that my answers are just one answer, not necessarily the answer to each of the questions. Question number 1. You've shared many challenges we face as first responders when our brains get stressed. Are there any good things that come from our reaction to stress? The answer is absolutely. In fact, if your brain were unable to mount a highly regulated reaction to stress, you would die. The stress reaction is what allows you to react to danger. It allows you to make quick judgments and rapid reactions in dangerous situations. Your stress reactions are hereditary. Your ingrained reaction to stress dates all the way back to the early existence of humans, your cave-dwelling ancestors. When faced with danger, like a saber-toothed tiger on attack, Humans adapted reactions, life-saving physical, chemical, and physiological responses. The stress reaction enhances your physical strength. It also improves the acuity of your senses. The chemicals released enhance your vision and hearing. You may be able to see things you otherwise would not be able to see if you were not under stress. You may be able to hear things that you otherwise would not be able to hear if you were not under stress. Some responders report an enhanced sense of awareness accompanied by a burst of energy when they arrive at emergency scenes. They say that stress improves their performance. Indeed, stress can improve short-term performance. However, it is important to realize that the stress reaction your body mounts is designed for short-duration threat events. As for the time duration of the reaction, think in terms of how long the threat event lasted when a cave dweller was being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger. The whole event would last a matter of seconds to minutes. The chemicals released under stress change the body biologically, chemically, electrically, and psychologically, but in short duration. Once the chemicals dissipate through the body and the process resets, you may start to suffer from less than desirable stress-induced biological, chemical, electrical, and psychological side effects, which have been discussed in numerous articles on the SAMatters website. Question number 2. You talked a lot in the program about identifying and understanding the critical clues and cues during size-up. I'm a newer firefighter. Is there anything that I can do to better this skill? The answer. I am asked variations of this question many times throughout my travels. Newer and less experienced first responders want to know how they can develop and maintain better situational awareness. The first step, of course, is understanding what situational awareness is, how it is developed, how it is maintained, how it is lost, and then how to regain it once it is lost. Those lessons are shared amply throughout articles on the SAMatters website and in the live events. Next is to identify which clues and cues are most important based on the type of emergency being handled. For example, at a structure fire, those clues might include the quantity and quality of staffing and other resources available, building construction, and the rate at which the building is being decomposed under the stress of the fire, smoke and fire conditions, the color, volume, velocity, and density of both flame and smoke, and finally the speed of the incident. How fast are conditions changing? Often influenced by the volume of fire, the volume of contents, and wind conditions. Next is to assemble those clues and cues into a coherent meaning about what is happening in the context of space and time. Finally, and this is often the most difficult, especially for newer responders with limited experience, is being able to make accurate predictions about future events and how they will unfold. The skill needed to look into the future requires experience and imagination. Newer responders can accelerate their experience by immersing themselves in case studies, near-miss reports, casualty reports, and videos of fires, especially when things are going wrong. One way to develop imagination is to stop reading or to pause the video and make a prediction about how things might be going to turn out. This entails not only predicting the outcome, which may be obvious if you're reading a line of duty death report, but also predicting the sequence of events that lead up to the catastrophe. Grade yourself on how accurate you were. Then assess your performance. If you were accurate, what were the clues and cues that led to the accurate predictions? If you weren't accurate in your predictions, determine if you missed important clues and cues, or if important clues and cues were absent, or if you misunderstood what they meant. Each time you practice these skills, you are learning. The more realistic you make your experiences in your mind, the greater the emotional attachment to the incident, and the more likely the lessons will seat deep into your memory. Doing this can accelerate your learning and thus improve your situational awareness. Question 3. Do you have any advice for how a young officer can develop command competency, including command situational awareness? Answer. There are several components to the answer to this question. First, I think that young officers need to ensure that they have a well-developed set of technical firefighting skills and experience before they step foot into the commander's role. The knowledge, skills, and abilities needed to command an incident are very different than the skills needed to perform firefighting duties. Equally, the situational awareness developed and maintained by a commander is also different than what is needed for a firefighter. In other words, commanders sometimes capture, process, and comprehend different clues and cues versus at a firefighter or company officer level in the formation of their situational awareness. Commanders may also make sense out of the clues and cues differently than a firefighter or company officer. For one, the commander should be watching the big picture, and their mind should be on the future events as much as on the current events. The commander is arguably in the best position to see the bad things coming in time to avoid bad outcomes. Having confidence in your command knowledge and experience, coupled with command presence, are skills that must be taught and practiced. One of the best ways to do this is to assign new commanders a mentor to help coach and develop their command skill set. It's imperative the mentor be both qualified and willing to share their knowledge. The mentor should also be willing and able to provide the tough feedback that new commanders sometimes need. Even when things go well, oftentimes there are opportunities to improve. And perhaps equally important is when things do go well, it doesn't always mean the new commander did his or her job properly. They could have simply been lucky. This is where the mentor can step in and help the new officer correct flaws that went undetected during the incident because luck has been on the side of the new commander. If these flaws are not fixed early, they can become reinforced and, even worse, turn into bad command habits. Question 4. During the presentation, you said the training should be as realistic as possible. Our police department has been doing realistic, hand-to-hand combat training. So realistic, in fact, that some officers were getting hurt. So we stopped doing that. Now the instructors tell us to only put forth 10% effort, go through the motions of how to subdue someone, but don't actually do it because someone might get hurt. Based on what you taught us, is this a setup for failure? Answer. First off, I would say the training should be as realistic as safety will permit. This is an important caveat. We want to train in realistic ways, but we don't want to create casualties as a result of our training. With that goal in mind, there is a limit to how realistic we can make certain training evolutions. That said, I think some organizations take safety during training evolutions to the extreme, and thus create very unrealistic training scenarios that set responders up to fail. When students are being taught a new skill, they develop two types of memory. The first is cognitive memory, the memory of information, the what am I supposed to be doing, and kinesthetic memory, the memory of muscle movement, The how am I supposed to do it? This brings up a critical point for how the brain learns. The muscles do not learn from verbal instructions. The muscles learn from muscle movement. If, for the sake of safety, we tell responders verbally to perform tasks one way and then have them actually perform it physically a different way, the muscles will remember the hands-on way in which they are being taught, not the verbal instructions that the students are being told. Speaking directly to the question asked by the police officer after the program, if police officers are told to use full force during a confrontation and then only allowed to practice hands-on using 10% force, the officer's muscles are likely to remember what they are being taught to do, and that is to use 10% force during real altercations. In fact, if during the training the officer's mindset is don't hurt the other person, then the memory that they will recall from the lesson during the real event might be the same thing, don't hurt the other person. So what is the solution? I recommended to this officer asking the question that their department employ the services of a professional fighter and suggested either a professionally schooled cage fighter, mixed martial arts fighter, instructor, that type of person. These people are taught how to defend themselves and how to deflect blows and how to fall down without getting hurt. I'd also suggest protective gear for the officers, including personal padding and floor padding. The officers can also use their full force on mannequins or props, not unlike what the military does with force props or sports teams do with impact sleds. The bottom line is, I think it's a huge mistake to teach an officer to use 10% force in training and then verbally tell the officer, now remember, when you get out on the street, use full force. The brain simply doesn't process the lessons that way. Remember, muscles learn from muscle movement, not from verbal instructions. Question 5. There are some safety training programs our employees take that are online, such as fire extinguisher usage. Is this type of training good? And should we be doing hands-on training as well? Answer. There are two types of learning I want to discuss that will help with this question. This question is similar to the previous question. The first is the cognitive memory, the memory of information, and the second is the kinesthetic memory, the memory of muscle movement. When you're sitting at the computer or in a classroom, you're developing cognitive memory. That's the memory of what do I need to know. And there's nothing wrong with learning the what in the classroom or online. However, when the what you need to know also requires the performance of a physical task, it is imperative that the students actually learn and practice the physical tasks. This develops the kinesthetic memory, the memory of how the task is to be done. The muscles don't learn the how to perform the task from verbal instructions, or from taking an online class for that matter. If a program teaches physical tasks, then the student should have to do hands-on sessions that practice and learn the physical tasks. If the online course or classroom program does not require the performance of a physical task, then it is not necessary to have a hands-on session. It is common for programs to contain both, however, teaching what and how. When your online program teaches the what and how, follow up the online or classroom session with a hands-on session that does skill development and muscle memory. Also use the hands-on session to reinforce the lessons taught during the cognitive learning session. This marries up both lessons and improves memory. If you have questions you would like to have answered in blog articles, please go to the SAMatters.com website and click on the Contact Us link. Before I close out today's episode, I want to take a moment to thank the departments and organizations that have hosted recent Situational Awareness Matters tour stops. Your efforts to bring this valuable and powerful training on situational awareness and high-risk, high-consequence decision-making to your members and others in your region are greatly appreciated. Recent program stops included the Illinois Fire Service Institute, the Montana Joint Conference, joint between chiefs, firefighters, and EMS, the South Dakota Firefighters Association Conference, the Prince Albert, Saskatchewan Fire Department, the Spokane Fire Department, and the Flathead County EMS. Upcoming programs, if you're interested in joining us, will be on July 16th, the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association Conference in Columbus, Ohio, July 18, Norristown Fire Department in Pennsylvania, July 19 through 21, the NSA Conference in Washington, D.C., July 23 and 24, West Point Military Academy in West Point, New York, July 25, the Aberdeen Proving Ground in Aberdeen, Maryland, August 3 through 7, the Gary, Indiana Fire Department, August 10 to 14, the Crawfordsville, Indiana Fire Department, August 17 to 21, United States Forest Service and McCall Smoke Jumpers. Actually, that's not a program. I'm going to be there doing research that week. But if you're in the area, give me a shout and we'll meet up. August 26 to 28, Fire Rescue International in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're interested in attending an upcoming Situational Awareness Matters tour stop and one of these is not near you, head over to the SAMatters website and click on the blue box on the right side of the home page labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. Here's hoping there's a tour event near you and we'll get a chance to meet up. If you're not a member of the SAMatters community of learners yet, please consider joining. There are more than 5,000 members connected here in SAMatters, sharing ideas on how to improve situational awareness, how to make better decisions under stress, and then how to train members to be critical thinkers and resilient problem solvers. Membership is free, and when you sign up, you'll get a special report created for new members called 25 Best Practices for Improving First Responder Safety. If you're not a member yet, head over to the SAMatters.com website and click on the red box on the right side of the homepage that says Free Membership. As a reminder, every episode of the SAMatters radio show has a corresponding show notes page on the SAMatters.com website. The most recent episodes scroll on the home page. For older episodes, go to SAMatters.com / and then enter the episode number, which is always mentioned at the start of each show. So, for example, if you want to access episode 50, open up your internet browser, enter www.samatters.com / 50, and that'll take you to the page that contains the link to that episode. The show notes page contains additional information and resources about the episode, and depending on if I have a guest or not, it might also include incident scene pictures, video, audio, and contact information for the guest. On the show notes page, you can also leave questions or feedback on the episode. If you want to get connected with us on social media, you can follow @RichGasaway or @SAMatters on Twitter. The SAMatters Twitter community is nearly 15,000 followers strong. And for all of those who are following there, I say thank you very much for your support of the mission. You can also get connected on Facebook and LinkedIn. On Facebook, follow the SAMatters page, or like the SAMatters page, I guess it is. And on LinkedIn, you can find me by searching Rich Gasaway. And thanks to those who've gotten connected with me on Facebook and LinkedIn, I'm really enjoying sharing content with you there as well. Well, that's it. Episode 63 is complete. Thank you to the more than 45,000 first responders, business leaders, and industrial workers who have attended a live tour event and supported my mission. You truly, truly inspire me. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Midwest Fire. And thank you to our listeners for sharing some of your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate your support of the SA Matters mission. If you've experienced or witnessed a near miss and would like to have a platform to share your lessons learned with others, please contact me by visiting the SAMatters.com site and clicking on the Contact Us link on the top of the homepage. Have you ever thought about this? Your lessons learned from a close call could save someone else's life? Think about that for a moment. If you want to share your experience, contact me. If you like the show, I'd ask you to go over to iTunes or Stitcher Radio and subscribe. Search for SA Matters Radio. SA Matters, all one word, radio. Please consider leaving some feedback if you do subscribe. And if you're willing and like the show, give it a 5-star review. This will really motivate me to work harder for you, and it'll also help others to find the show. Be safe out there, and may the peace of the Lord and strong situational awareness be with you always.
You've been listening to the Situational Awareness Matters radio show with Dr. Richard B. Gassaway. If you are interested in learning more about situational awareness, human factors, and decision-making under stress, visit SAMatters.com. If you are interested in booking Dr. Gassaway for an upcoming event, visit his personal website at richgassaway.com.